Welcome back to the 10th Alliance Tournament. This is our sixth match, and we have Babylon 5 versus Nulli Secunda. Two very interesting setups, especially from Babylon 5. Interesting is one way to describe it. Babylon 5 has brought three ships. It's our first three-ship setup in a up to six-ship format with two Vargers and a Loki.
Yep. Then you have, Esto and Nulli Secunda come with a Loki, a Proteus, Oneros, and Ishkur and Punisher. It's definitely an odd setup, and you're going to see the use of the ancillary shield boosters maybe from the Vargers. I wouldn't.
The Vargers are definitely shield tanked. We're seeing shield hardeners from them. No cap transfers yet. Laz and I were speculating before the match about how this team from Babylon 5 was supposed to work. Whether it's going to be a double. Nope, that is an armor tanked Loki. All right, that's just. None of this makes any sense anymore.
Yeah, that's.
So that Loki's just going to die, and Babylon 5 ... is going to have a very hard time from this point.
Well, you see the damage just stop on the Loki, though, after they get him through shields, but it's slowly going up.
Yeah, it's just a brick tank, but that's not going to be enough, I don't think. They've got a bunch of ECM drones from the Nulli Secunda team. I don't think that we're going to be seeing enough damage, honestly. Well, we're seeing some damage from those Vargers come from Babylon 5, but this is one of those things where it's going to be very difficult for Babylon 5 to be able to win a match with only three ships, unless those ships have some kind of ridiculous synergy together. If we were talking about a shield tanked, ancillary shield boosted Loki paired with two ancillary shield tanked cap transferring Vargers, which is what I speculated we might be dealing with here before the match, then that could actually be interesting. We'll see once those Vargers start taking damage.
You have Kenza from Nulli Secunda in half armor and his Loki. Going down a little bit quicker than the Babylon ... Loki, so it's a little bit of a race.
Yeah, but it's a race that's on the side. The race lengthening is on the side of Nulli Secunda. The fact that Nulli has a logistics ship that's way out at range and is not going to be able to be killed very easily means that they can just stretch the fight out. If more ships die but that Logi ship stays alive, it means that his rep will eventually be too strong for the DPS incoming to break.
And Nulli is pulling all their ECM drones off of the Loki and placing them onto the Vargers.
Which is an excellent choice. Vargers have very low sensor strength, so ECM of all kinds, including the drones, is very effective against them. We are seeing ECCM from the Vargers, but they're still going to be a lot lower than another ECCM battleship would be. Now, if Babylon 5 was prepared, then they would have smart bombs on those. We may see smart bombs appear anytime now. However, we haven't yet. It's possible the pilot hasn't just forgot to use them, or they just don't have smart bombs on a.
I think you'd definitely be seeing them by now once that initial wave came back onto them. It looks like the Loki might be popping drones. I'm seeing some, or actually the Punisher is popping drones.
It's a good use for the Punisher, yeah. I think, and it's damage drones from the Vargers. I think this is not a very good. Neither of these setups are great. I think the choices that Babylon 5 are making are a little bit baffling. Babylon 5 has now lost their Loki. We're going to see damage applied to one of the Vargers, and then we'll see how this tank works. If it's a cap transfer Tinker tank between the two of them, that's at least somewhat interesting. If not, then their whole setup is both bad and boring.
Yeah, they really get themselves with three ships. You saw this setup, or a version of this setup from Hun Reloaded in the last match, which was the three Hawks, or the four Hawks. And I mean, just where Loki died, they had no reps, and you would expect it to have been a shield tank Loki for it being with the Vargers.
Yeah, if these were all active tank ships and they all had the cap transfer synergy going, then that would be kind of cool. But as it is, we now have seen the Nulli Loki go down as well. Damage is being applied to the Oneros, which is a good choice for the damage to apply to.
The Oneros is dying surprisingly quickly.
Yes, well, the range on these is very good. But these Vargers, once they run out of cap charges, are going to be in big trouble. We'll see how it goes, but I think they're going to have a hard time, say, killing these Proteus at close range. Or Proteus at close range.
This Oneros, though, is just melting. By the time it's down, they might be down or one Varger, but it's definitely going to be a close match. Because once that goes down, they can melt that Proteus and get a lot of the DPS out of the way.
It is worth noting that the Oneros is afterburning away as fast as it can, and it looks like damage is decreasing on it. It looks like it's quite far away now from the main bulk of the fleet. It's actually getting to the point where it might be in danger of going out of the arena. That would be more fun for Srigs if it did. But it's getting far enough away that we've now seen damage drop right off. That's the problem with with only having the one Loki. You've got the webs from it for tackle, without any frigs. The Hawks that the Hun team had with their Vargers were great, because they could chase down teams, ships that run across the arena, take them down, and let the Vargers apply the damage. But with this, that Inurus is too far away.
The Vargar that was at half shield is now back at full. Both Vargars are at full HP, whereas you have the Oneros at 1/4 armor, and both frigates with damage on all other ships on the field. So it looks like they're the ancillary current cap booster, ancillary shield booster, is paying off, but it looks like he might be running out of charges as that damage gets applied.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time now. The damage that is being applied by the Nulli team is enough that he has to run that booster constantly, or nearly constantly, and once he runs out of charges, he's going to go down within that minute very easily.
Yep, as you see, the shield booster is starting to fail for that Vargar. He is out of charges, and you're seeing small boosts. I'm not sure if... Yeah, he's going to be down very quickly as he starts to enter armor.
Okay, so I've just got word electronically, they didn't notice until now from earlier. Babylon 5 ... big ships each had 2 fuel shield boosters. They each had 2 ancillary shield boosters, which is a strong setup, but it's so strong that it's against the rules and has been for quite a long time. There was a public post made about it, sticky on the tournament forums, and that is something that they were penalized for, in that they had to remove that module. They weren't allowed to bring their ships in. They got caught by the setup police, and so that is why these ships aren't tanking as well as they could have otherwise. If they were dual boosted, then these 2 Vargars could just tank forever, but that's why we don't allow the dual fuel boosters. So that is one of the reasons that Babylon 5 ... is doing so badly right now.
That being said, this Vargar still is holding up very nicely. As you see, it come back to 50% armor while it's in 8 or 90% structure. I mean, it's something to say about these tanks and these Marauders.
They are very, very strong tanks, yes. But I don't think it's going to be enough to win this fight, unfortunately, for them. If they had the 2 boosters, then that would be strong, so you could run the one while you reload the other. But as it is, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. This fight will likely last quite a while, though. This is not a great, exciting match, unfortunately. It's going to be a lot of grinding down over time.
Well, as you see, the DPS starting to be reapplied to the Oneros. It is in about 5 to 8% armor and slowly bleeding structure. Once they get that Oneros down with how well this Vargar's tanking, I think that they might be able to pull it out. Babylon,
it might be enough, yes. If that Oneros had to come in close to be able to rep, now he's going to be pulling back range again. A lot of it will also depend on these ECM drones. They've got all the ECM drones applied to one of the Vargars at the same time. It'll be interesting to see if that... I assume that one's going to be perma-jammed, basically, by them. Splitting them up between the 2 Vargars might have been a better choice.
Well, it's very interesting that they chose not to use those extra high slots for a smart bomb in the tournament environment.
Yeah, having a smart bomb is incredibly valuable when ECM drones are so powerful, especially when you have so few ships. You need to have the smart bomb. That's something where I can say there was a forever tanking team that PL ran... Oh, there goes that Vargar. That PL ran several tournaments ago that ended up getting destroyed by ECM drones. Having the smart bomb available is something you really need to have for these kind of setups.
Yep, with the single Vargar left, I don't think there's much chance that they'll be able to pull it back out. It was very interesting seeing how long it was able to hold on, but I definitely think their fate is sealed.
Yeah, I think that this is a setup that if they'd been allowed to bring those 2 boosters, which they weren't, then it's something that would have not killed everything, but just survived and won on points. I'm not really a fan of that strategy in the preliminary matches, though, because it means that you win, but you don't win with full points, and that can still get you knocked out. That's the kind of setup you would do if you didn't care about winning yourself and just wanted to knock your opponents out, which I wouldn't assume that Babylon 5 ... was trying to do. I guess they just thought that they could find a setup that's unkillable, which this would have been essentially unkillable by the setup that Nulli had.
I honestly think that Babylon could have pulled this out, but the Nulli Secunda logistics pilot did such a great job kiting that damage out of range, and then coming back in, getting the damage again, so that they could try to get that logistics off the field, then just taking up all that time, and just for him to move out of the autocannon range again.
Yeah, we now have 1 minute left in the match. It's quite possible this Vargur could survive to the end of the match because he's still tanking fine. He doesn't look like he's going to run out of fuel booster charges anytime very soon. If that happens, it means that Nulli is going to win very easily, but it also means that Nulli won't get the full points, and that's going to be crippling to both teams. Neither team is going to get a whole lot of points, and that's going to mean that they're both going to have a much harder time next weekend trying to get into the final rounds.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how heat damaged this Vargur's or the last Vargur's hardeners are. Just see if they are cycling that overheat and just how effective it's working.
If they're doing it well, then they definitely would be. We're seeing both a lot of E-War webs, tracking disruptors, and ECM applied to the Vargur of Lakefish. It's interesting. I'm curious about. Well, the ECM's probably from the drones. I'm not sure if this feed will show it from the drones, but I assume in this case that it does. So hey, we learned something new. It shows us ECM from drones as well, and that means that this Vargur of Lakefish is dead in the water. There's essentially nothing it can do.
Well, you get the ECM, you get the tracking disruptors, and you get the webs. I mean, he's not going to be able to hit anything with those large guns on these small targets. So
he is actually firing now, firing at the Proteus, but he's not going to be able to do enough damage to that Proteus between jam cycles to be able to take it down. And that is the match. The match has ended. Nulli Secunda has won ahead of Babylon 5. Nulli with 33 points worth of kills, plus 25% for the bonus. Babylon 5 with 16 points. This is not a great result for either one because neither one got full points, but it is still a win for Nulli, so congratulations to them.
Yeah, it was like I said, I just want to give props to that logistics pilot. I think that probably decided this match, that he was not in range and was able to get out of distance. And I believe the next group is Noir Mercenary Group versus Elsean Empire.
So stay tuned for that.